Welcome on Texas football. I'm Bobby Burton, your host, joined by Gerry Hamilton. Here we're talking Texas defensive grades this afternoon on a Sunday. Gerry, really good performance for the Longhorns. First shutout of a season opener for the Longhorn defense since 2004. Big time win for Texas. I know that Colorado State's not a great offense or even a great barometer for what Texas is going to face in the SEC. But they did have some potency. They have a big-time receiver. They had a decent enough quarterback, but Texas limited them to just 195 total yards, Gerry, and took them completely out of their game plan.
Yeah, I know the 23 season doesn't translate to 24, but we can say this. Nobody stuffed and shut down Colorado State last year. They moved the ball on people. So that's a change for Colorado State. And you can't just say, oh, it's because the other receiver hit the transfer portal. Texas did a lot of things right yesterday. But the main thing they did was, while it may not show up in numbers, which we'll get to, Texas won the game up front. Colorado State, I think, went into this game abandoning their air raid system in a way and saying, you know what, we have to run the football, because we don't think we can just move it in the air raid, throwing the ball 50, 60 times, playing a quick tempo.
Not against a dime look. Maybe that may have been one of the bigger points, takeaways. Texas was willing to play dime a lot with two corners on the field and two stars and two safeties. And so maybe that's that willingness to be exotic, for lack of a better term, maybe surprised Colorado State a little bit. Based on Pete Kwiatkowski's previous penchant not to do that sort of thing and kind of play it closer to the vest. But Johnny Nansen may have an influence there. All right, let's talk a little bit about the defense here and go down grade position by position. We're also going to talk special teams as well. We want to do that. And so before we do that, I want to say thank you to our sponsor. Our sponsor is Allegiant Digital. The folks at Allegiant Digital, Chad Markham and his crew, have helped thousands of individual businesses with digital marketing in the state of Texas and around the country. Give Chad and his group a chance to earn your business as well. Chad and his team focus on results for their clients. Again, AllegiantDigital.com. If you want to get a special deal right now, it's called the Hook 'em Horn Special. AllegiantDigital.com/ontexasfootball. Thanks for Chad and his group for sponsoring today's defensive grades. Hey, Gerry, next question. Let's just go straight to the defense. Yep. Let's take the defensive line and then the edges separately.
Yeah,
I think that's important. Let's start on the interior, because that was the big question mark coming into the season. How do you think those guys did, the big guys up front?
So I've kind of had this Texas defensive interiors and more of a disruptive front versus a anchor the run front, especially the first if Alfred Collins and Vernon Broughton are your starters, which is fine. Those guys were disruptive. They played on Colorado State's line of scrimmage, and the strength of Colorado State's offensive line was center guard. So Texas won against Colorado State against their best. And we talked about at the beginning of the show, maybe Colorado State adjusted off of that when they said, ooh, we're not going to win against these guys with our best on the offensive line. But I thought Vernon Broughton had, arguably, I'm not saying statistically, but maybe he had his best game at Texas in a way. He had two tackles in a quarterback pressure and, a bad pass breakup. But he was a disruptive force. Alfred Collins was hard to block. While he only had one tackle, he had an impact on the game. When Jermaine Lole was in there, you saw some things from him. And Bill Norton, when he came in, obviously when Big 15 comes in, he's coming in to play the run and take up two blockers. But I thought they did their job in this game. And their job, I think, is to be disruptors against Colorado State. Now, I think it's going to be a different ask next week against Michigan, but I thought they performed as we'd expect them to, and probably performed the game plan really well up front.
I agree with that, and I think they also got people a lot of snaps. It's the most we've seen, obviously, from Jermaine Lole, even in practice, from what we were able to view, Gerry up front. Sadir Mitchell and Alex January, the true freshman, got a lot of looks late in the game on Saturday as well. And then you had Tia Savea as well as Bill Norton. Look, Longhorns had a lot of bodies to throw at it up front, Jerry, and did so. What kind of grade did you give them?
I think for the game, the team they played and what they were asked to do, I'm going to give them an A. I'm going to give them an A minus. I'm in there because I think going into this game, the thought was be disruptive, get up the field against a team that's going to throw it a lot. Colorado State, I think, kind of changed the game plan a little bit, right? When they decided that we're gonna eat the clock and we're gonna squeeze out possessions here, try to take a possession out of this game, and we're not gonna snap the ball quickly and we're not gonna move with tempo. I think that kind of changed things. So I give Texas. I'll go with A minus because they did give up a 100-yard rusher, and they did. It wasn't perfect, but I think I'll give them an A minus for Saturday.
All right. I think it's good. I'm gonna go a B plus because of the rush up the mid or the success. I thought there were some holes up the middle a little bit, and that wasn't just on the defensive tackles. There's also some linebacker misreads I saw in there a little bit. But overall, I gotta go with a B plus. I think an A minus is totally fair. Hey, let's talk about the edge play. And I want to include in this the Sam linebacker role, Jerry, because Colin Simmons played that quite a bit. As did Trey Moore. You had Justice Finkley out there, as well as Ethan Burke, as well as Barron Sorrell. I thought Barron Sorrell, another solid performance from him, among others. What did you think of the edge group? Because we were looking for wow plays from them, Jerry. I'm not sure we got that, right? I don't think we got the wow plays, but I think overall the edges look pretty darn good.
Yeah, I thought Barron Sorrell was really solid, right? I mean, he had one play where he just fought off a double team and got a TFL or near TFL. I don't know if it went in the books as a TFL, but I thought they were solid, right? What's interesting to me is this wasn't a game going into the game. I thought that Colorado State was going to throw it a lot, so I thought early on you kind of get pressure, but maybe with hands up. Then as the game goes along, you maybe get pressure and then contact the quarterback. And then after Colorado State's tackles get tired, you start sacking the quarterback late third and fourth quarter. But the game didn't really play out that way. So I'm a little incomplete on these guys. I guess I'll go. I guess it's a tough one for me, Bobby. I guess I'll go B plus because Colorado State still got nothing. And there's got to be credit given when a team gets nothing. No points. Had 130 yards late in the game. I mean, you have to give the guys credit for executing a game plan. There weren't the splash plays, there weren't the wild plays, but I will say what there is more versatility with this position. What you talked about, Trey Moore, Colin Simmons, and more Simmons in this game playing the Sam linebacker, dropping in the coverage. That provides defensive versatility. Defensive versatility has to play into your grades because a guy like Colin Simmons can rush the passer, then he can also drop. You're a more versatile defense. And that's with a twitchier guy that Texas hasn't had in a while.
He made a play in space as a defender. I mean, seriously, Jerry, I mean, that's what Texas is going to do. Nobody had huge stats, though. Colton Vosick got in, saw his most extensive action as a Longhorn by far. I didn't mention him earlier, but I should have. Had a half tackle for loss. Texas in general had 5 tackles for loss, most of those from that defensive front. I'm going to flip-flop the interior versus the exterior. I went A minus with the edges, while I went B plus with the interior. You went A minus on the interior, B plus on the edge. About a wash, probably. Right. Probably what you would expect also for a team that didn't get any sacks, but still dominated in a team that won 52-0. I mean, that's pretty good stuff. All right, let's talk linebackers next. Anthony Hill, David Benda, Mo Blackwell, even Leonga Lafau. Darian Gillette had a nice tackle, I thought. Marshall Landworth, Anthony Smith saw some early action. Young man out of Jasper, one of 13 true freshmen that saw action on Saturday. What did you think of Anthony Hill and David Benda? Let's start with those two because the grades for those two, in my opinion, are the most important because they are your starting linebackers.
Yeah, 9 combined tackles, tackle for loss. Look, they weren't tested in coverage. And I'm not sure they really will be at Michigan either. Somebody's got to cover the tight end because he's a first.
The 3 tight ends, by the way, but
yeah. But I mean, the Colston kid's a first rounder. But so they weren't tested in coverage. And I'm not sure when they truly will be on this schedule. That's something I'm going to watch. Maybe UTSA a little bit. Maybe they can get them in some matchups, right? But so I'm going to go with an even A for linebackers. Now, there were maybe a couple of run fits here or there, but a team's not going to have 50 yards against you. They're going to they are football players too. I mean, you can't hold somebody to 50 yards. That doesn't really happen, not in the college level. So they have players too. And the strength of the Colorado State offensive line was the interior. So you have to deal with those guys a little bit. But I thought Anthony Hill flowed to the football well. I thought he made play in space. I thought David Binda had some knockback tackles and actually struck people when he hit people. They felt it. And Maurice Blackwell, by the way, caused a fumble. That should have been reviewed. That was a fumble. So we got to give Maurice Blackwell credit for that play. That was just a bad call. It wasn't reviewed for whatever reason. That ball was out. That was a fumble. So I'm going to give it a linebackers an A in this game with the caveat they weren't truly tested in pass coverage.
They definitely weren't tested in pass coverage. I think they're a deeper group than they've been. I think that I walked away from this game thinking, okay, yes, Anthony Hill is different. David Binda is better. But Lefau is a year older. Blackwell is a year older. You have D'Anthony Smith that's coming on. I think they're a little bit deeper than maybe what I was ready to give them credit for in the preseason, which is a good thing. I want to say that it's a good thing. I will say I felt like Anthony Hill on a couple of those bigger runs that squirted through the middle, kind of as Sark used the term, that they were leaking a little bit up the middle. I think that was Anthony Hill twice overrunning a play.
Yeah,
and stepping out of the hole. So,
Bobby, that's who you attack. You attack the aggressive downhill guy in the run game. That's who you attack, right? I mean, you attack that guy that's so aggressive that flies to the football. That's the guy you attack. By the way, Leon Lefau is a really good football player. He's starting to show that.
Yeah, it's smart and intuitive, and we use the term flowing to the football. That's what he does. I want to say this. I would not give that group an A. I'm going to be significantly different. I'm going to go a B plus because of the squirts out on the run. But probably the bigger takeaway for me is twofold. One is the depth. I say twofold. It's more than that. The depth of the linebacker group was apparent. David Binda is better this year and hits harder than he's ever hit. I mean, he looks like he's ready for a breakout season.
Yeah.
Anthony Hill is a disruptor, which is what we thought he would be. He's not perfect yet, but he's a disruptor. And then the last piece, I think, is that they can run. Texas has linebackers that can really run right now. And that's a good thing. All right, let's move on to the secondary. Jerry, glowing grade here from me. I'm just going to 2 marvelous interceptions, one terrific one from Jahdae Barron, another one to save the shutout from Wardell Mack. I felt like maybe they got beat over the top once, but Barron made up for that. Even the times that Colorado State did catch the ball, they were tackled immediately or there was somebody on them. Everything was tight. They played 6 DBs in this game. I'm going to give you a stat that blew my mind when I looked at the post-game stats. You know who led Texas in tackles Saturday? Jalen Gilbo. And he didn't just do it by a little, Jerry. Jalen Gilbo had 8 tackles on Saturday compared to 5 for the next highest, which was Anthony Hill. I mean, that is a lot of activity from your star position. Maybe more so than what you get out of Jahdae Barron, right? From that same position. That may be some of what Texas was seeing in Jalen Gilbo. But all in all, allowing less than 100 yards through the air to a team that is, quote unquote, an air raid team, Jerry, and two takeaways. I'm giving the secondary an A. I didn't see anything that concerned me. I didn't see anything that worried me. In fact, I saw a team that was close to being opportunistic. A secondary that's opportunistic for the first time in a long time, truly opportunistic.
Yeah, I'm going A as well, and I almost want to go A plus, but I'm going to go A. Look, Torrey Horton's a second round level NFL draft pick. He's going to beat you at some point, but here's what you didn't see: busted coverages, guys running free. Jahdae Barron made a play that wasn't made last year at the corner position.
No chance. It hasn't been made in a long time at the corner position. Yep. Maybe since Quandre Diggs.
Yep. I thought Gavin. So they have better depth at that position this year. And look, I don't want to. That kind of takes. I don't want to say Ryan Watts isn't a really good player. He is, but Gavin Holmes is a better player. Manny Muhammad's a better player in year 2. That's a big jump player. If Jahdae Barron can play some corner, that's an experienced football instincts player. So those guys, Terrence Brooks, Ryan Watts, and Gavin Holmes and Manny last year. I just think this is a group. It looks like they're going to be better this year to me now. You want to see a Javion Cole come on as the season moves along as a fourth corner or Warren Roberson, right? But I thought with the guys that played Saturday, they were sticky in coverage. I thought they were physical in coverage, 1, 2, and then they made plays. And then, you have a guy like Wardell Mack, a freshman, come in who we had heard had a really good fall camp that's played at corner and nickel since he's been at Texas, that has a big time interception like that. I give him a solid A, if not A plus, but I'll stick with A because it's hard to be perfect.
I wrote this morning on Texas football. I don't know when I've seen 2 prettier interceptions by Texas DBs in a single game.
Yeah.
Those were pretty. I mean, literally pretty. The definition of a pretty interception, right? I do want to add this. Michael Taff, I thought, played strong. Jelani McDonald got a lot of reps. Yeah, we were wondering whether or not he was going to get a lot of reps. He apparently has earned that and is starting to see a lot more time. He may be in that full-time rotation along with Derek Williams, Michael Taff, and Andrew Makuba. Texas looking to really run a lot of guys out there in the secondary to try to keep guys fresh, especially in the August and September heat. That's going to matter. We'll see what they do next week, though, against Michigan, because I don't think they're going to play 6 DBs on the field against the Wolverines very often. I just don't see that part coming for Michigan at all. All right, I gave the secondary an A as well. Let's talk a little bit now about the defense overall, Jerry.
Yeah.
And, again, I go back 195 yards, 11 first downs, 0 points, forced 2 turnovers. Other than sacks, 5 tackles for loss, by the way. Other than sacks, is there anything they didn't do? I mean, some of the parts higher than the individual grades for me. I went with an A in this group. It's a shutout. They 195 yards against an air raid team that is an accomplished quarterback and receiver group. I think is a big time performance and a very heartening one for Texas fans that were, honestly somewhat concerned about what the defense might look like this year.
Yeah, so I'm gonna really step out there, and the whole thing I'm giving an A plus. And the reason I have to do this is a shutout. Give up 3.7 yards a rush. One of those is an 8-yard quarterback run. And that's the first game without Sweat and Murphy, by the way. So there's some, there's something there that these guys have to replace. They have to find their way. They have to find the rotation. 3.1 yards an attempt, 192 total yards, 3.4 yards per play. No pass interferences, right? And there was no dumb penalties on defense. There was what a horse collar maybe in there, but there weren't 15-yard pass interference. There weren't a bunch of guys jumping off sides, giving a Colorado State short chains, or, a 1st and 5s. They didn't shoot themselves in the foot defensively at all. They played a clean football.
That's a great point, because I didn't really thought they did not shoot themselves in the foot with penalties, no jumping off sides.
Yeah, they played a clean game and it was a disciplined game. Now, you're always going to have some run fits, but you're not going to play 100% perfect. It's football, but they did not have any self-inflicted wounds that gave Colorado State hope yesterday. For that, I got to give them an A+, because Colorado State needed help from Texas yesterday.
Yeah,
and
they did not get it. No, sir. All right, hey, we're going to talk special teams next and give those grades out. Before we do so, we want to remind you that we're sponsored. The defensive grades are by our friends over at Allegiant Digital Marketing. If you're a business owner who struggles with any of the following: finding new customers, consistent leads, marketing services to promote your business that actually work, founder and CEO Chad Markham with Allegiant Digital Marketing, an Austin-based ad agency, has helped thousands of business owners just like you for more than 25 years conquer these very same challenges. If you're ready to start making money in your business and grow with confidence, visit allegiantdigital.com/ontexasfootball and get a free marketing plan. Plus, you can save up to $2,500 in advertising with their Hook 'em Horns special today. All right, Jerry, let's talk special teams. Thankfully, we don't really have to talk much about the kick or the punting game, nor do we have much to talk about the kicking game. I mean, Colorado State fair caught or let things go into the end zone every single time on kickoffs, and there were a bunch of kickoffs from the Longhorns. Texas punted only once. Michael Kern, 39-yarder, not anything great shakes. It went through the end. I mean, it did go through the end. It got down inside the 20, but not a perfect punt. Looked like a freshman punting a little bit, but still plausible and passable. Nothing negative or majorly negative there. And then I look at the return game, and let's talk a little bit about that, because there are a couple of unique aspects of that I wanted to mention. First of which is not necessarily what Silas Bolden did, good and bad, but Jeff Banks put a little spice in the Iraq on Saturday by having two guys back returning punts. That's the first time I think we've really seen that alignment multiple times from Texas, and he puts Silas Bolden and Matthew Golden back there.
Yeah, and so he did that. That was interesting for two reasons. One, that put something on tape for Michigan that they probably weren't expecting in their advanced scouting without Connor Stallions of the Texas team. But two, Texas held back anything block-wise. They didn't have to go after a punt Saturday. They were in total control of the game. They didn't feel the pressure to really go after a punt. They cleaned up a fake punt, which that was ill-advised. But I thought, I thought Texas showed something in the punt return game that at least Michigan has to prepare for. Is anything major? It's not major, but it's just one more thing. It's one more aspect that a team has to prep for you in. And the other thing was, again, Michigan's going to have to dig in all those tapes and see where Texas went after punts last year, because they didn't see what Texas would do this year.
Yeah, I think it's an incomplete grade in many respects. I want to talk a little bit, though, before we actually do grade it, and talk about Silas Bolden.
Yeah.
Picked up punts off the bounce twice. That's a no-no. Didn't like that. One of the times he fumbled.
Yeah.
He's got to be more secure with the ball. Didn't need him to risk anything at that point in time, right? The only thing you could do is something negative really there. At the same time, he had a scintillating return down the left sideline, made a guy miss in space, shot inside of a Matthew Golden block, and was off to the races almost.
Yeah.
And so, look, the juice is there. He's got a chance to do something this year, I think, and probably will take one or two kicks back. If I were a gambling man right now, that's what I would put it on. At one time this year, he's going to do that. What did you think about that return and his performance in particular? Because look, I mean, that's probably those were the plays that we watched on special teams. Texas returning punts. That was like 90% of what we watched from special teams. That and PATs. But
right.
Yeah.
So look, your punt returner has to be fearless, but he has to be fearless with the understanding of consequence, right? I mean, there's been some times where punts were filled inside the 5 that were against Oklahoma that were ill-advised. But I think the thing with Silas Bolden, I love that he's fearless. I think he can make the first guy miss. And I think because he knows he can do that, especially against the Colorado State, I think he was probably a little overly aggressive at times. And it's going to be a great film room because you don't want to do that at Michigan next week. You don't want to be picking up balls off the bounce at the 7. That's not the winning.
Not worth it. It's not. You can't do that in big time games.
Formula on the road against a good team. So you can't give somebody the ball. I mean, look, you can't give somebody the ball inside your own 10. I mean, you're not going to win games on the road against good opponents doing that. I thought Texas blocked pretty well. They didn't get as many opportunities. Colorado State was going to short punt it and let it roll. Yep. Which, by the way, again, Colorado State showed a hell of a lot of respect for Texas team speed. Whether that was what they did in coverage against Texas, what they did on special teams. They didn't try to return kickoffs. They went more rugby punt. They showed a lot of respect for the Texas speed yesterday. So we got to give Texas credit for that. That's why you recruit really fast football players. But I think the main thing was, this is the other thing, Bobby, in the punt return game. You have 2 punt returners back there. That does give you the ability to fake a reverse and do a little something different at times. So Texas might have something in their bag in the punt return game this year. I'm waiting to see, because Matthew Golden is a really good return man too, naturally. But Silas Bolden, let's see. Jeff Banks may bring out the bag of tricks this year at some point.
Yeah, I would give the special teams a grade of B. You just get the ball on the carpet. But Bert Auburn was perfect, whether it be field goal or PAT. Coverage, like I said, Will Stone did fine. Look, we're not going to just give, rubber stamp everything when we don't really see much out of a group. Right. I will give one hat tip to Gavin Holmes.
Yes.
He did a nice job on jumping on that fumble. He really did.
That's a blowout game and an effort play in a blowout game. I give him B as well, Bobby. I mean, it's a fumble punt inside the 10. You're not giving it anybody an A that does that.
All right, guys, that's going to do it. Thanks again to our friends over at Allegiant Digital Marketing. That's been the Texas defensive grades for the Colorado State game. Texas now 1-0, winning 52-0. We go into week 2 of college football season. Longhorns have the Michigan Wolverines coming up. I'll tell you what, if the Longhorn defense gets an A again this time next week, I think we might be looking at a W in Ann Arbor. For Gerry Hamilton, I'm Bobby Burton, our producer, Matt Hutchison. You guys have a good one. Hook 'em.